How's it? And welcome, everybody. Welcome to Kurt Francis, going live right here from your Francis team, talking about the real estate market update, which we're experiencing, all over the nation. But the market update is focused on Southern California, especially San Diego. So today we're just going to be talking about only one of them, one of the 12 indicators of the market shift. We can just be talking one today. And if you want to follow the others, of the first 1 until 10, just going to the previous recordings, and you will see that YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Okay, the 12 indicators, but we're just talking about one of them. And today is number 11, predictions. Predictions, talking about what's really predicted by people going forth. This is July 2022, and we've seen a lot of things. We've seen the market shift significantly. We've seen the Fed interest rate hike incredibly. We've seen the mortgage rate, which is different to the Fed rate, and that's increased by at least 3%, nearly 3% right now from January 2022 until beginning of July. So some of us, some of the figures we're looking at is up to May and June, not totally the end of June because we just finished it and we haven't got all the data out for that. But the predictions, so, what are we talking about? What are we talking about that? So let's not forget about what we're talking about is predictions, right? So welcome to predictions and the forecast, understanding this. So, what's the weather like? Well, cloudy with a chance of recession. Cloudy with a chance of recession. Are we going to be having a recession? What are the predictions right now? So, thank heavens we never entered into a great recession or great depression. And as I said earlier before, that when America coughs, the world gets flu. When America sneezes, the world gets flu. What does that mean? The economy in the United States affects the whole world because the American dollar, United States dollar, is used just through a lot of places. And even like Zimbabwe was just using the American money. Their money devalued so much. So what happens in America affects everything, right? So what's the forecast? The forecast is cloudy with a chance of recession. And, we can talk about what is a recession, and it's interpreted different ways by different people. So we do see definitely things changing and a slight recession. We're going to experience that, but don't get nervous because it's not like the Great Depression in 1929. It's not that. It's not the Great Recession of 2008. Round about that. That's really started in 2006, actually. But we won't get into that right now. But we don't believe we'll have a great recession, and which took forever to get out, like 4, 5, 6 years to actually get out of it. So the National Bureau of Economic Research, defines recession as a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months, normally visible in real gross domestic product, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. So that's very a general way. Now, different people define recessions in different way. They look at where there are two quarters where they have seen a decrease significantly in the GDP in 2 quarters. Some people say then you have a recession when you've had 2 quarters when the GDP has gone down, some about 10%, whatever. People use different numbers and they have different definitions. I want to say that I believe that we are already in a recession. We are already in a recession. Recession means kind of recess, stopping, going back a little bit, whatever. And some industries have greater recessions than others, depending on different things. You look at tourism, you look at automobiles, you look at airlines, and some of them are different, right? And tourism might go down in certain places, but maybe San Diego County doesn't go down. So when you talk about recession, we always got to be careful. What do you mean by that? Because recession means different things to different people, and people use the word too loosely and sometimes too stringent, right? So what is your definition? Understanding that there's a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months. More than a few months. So when we talk about 2 quarters, we're talking about 6 months, really, right? 6 months. If you had 6 months of decline in GDP, then we're talking about a recession. Recession doesn't equal a housing crisis. Like everyone get nervous about recession, but let's look at history. Okay, let's look at history. Home prices changed during the last 6 recessions. Okay, so if you look at it in 1980, where home prices actually increased by 6.1% in a recession. 1981, 3.5%. 1991, well, there was a decline in that one, right? And so you can look at different. Now, the biggest one in 2008, that recession, home prices did decline. But the reason why the world was in recession, and first of all, the United States, was because of the real estate industry, because of bad loans for the mortgage. I mean, anybody could get a loan. You could walk in, and if you could fuck up a mirror, then you got a loan. You had stated income. Or tell the lender how much you earn. You don't even have to give documentation. No docs, just stated income. Oh, well, I earn $200,000 a year. We had landscapers and different people, and Jen is saying they earn $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, which is ridiculous. And they got this beautiful home, but guess what? They couldn't keep on affording to pay for it when things changed, and they couldn't resell it because the market had dropped, and that caused the world Great Recession in 2008. And then look at 2020, it increased in, say, but was there a recession? Well, there was a very short recession and decline when the beginning of COVID happened. When COVID happened, a lot of countries were affected really very badly. United States, very little because we pump money into the system. So understand the recession doesn't always affect the crisis in housing or prices going down. Understanding that. So we know Mr. Powell, who is the Fed chairman, I think what you will see, this is predictions, or many forecasts call for the increases in housing prices to slowly, pretty significantly now. So it's to slow, again, to slow down a little bit. We're not going to see the increases like we have been seeing. Thank heavens for this unhealthy real estate market that we've had, where people were removing contingencies on inspections, removing contingencies on appraisals, which is just all bad real estate. When there was plumbing issues, they didn't even have the inspection, didn't even have electrical inspection, didn't have roof inspection, didn't have foundational structural inspections when there were issues. So we've gone from a very bad real estate healthy. It was not healthy. Okay, that's where we changed. So let's look at estimated home price and performance. Okay, home price performance in where we are right now. Remember talking about predictions. So 2022, 9% from January, absolutely right. We've seen them go a lot higher than 9%, and we've seen equalizers. The predictions are still by economists that in 2023 we're still going to see a 5% increase. And you look at the different years with small increases, but that's what the predictions are. We're going to see small increases. Why? Because there's a strong job and workforce out there. There's still money in circulation, and there's still money around, and things are still relatively very, very healthy in the United States right now. 40-year study, when mortgage interest rates increased by 1%. I want everyone to understand this. When a mortgage interest, not talking about the Fed rate hike. We're not talking about federal interest rate. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about prime rates. We're not talking about that. We're talking about mortgage interest rates, basically based on the 30-year term. When a mortgage interest rate increases by 1%, what does that mean? Purchase prices decrease by 4%. This is about Freddie Mac studied over about 40 years. Freddie Mac says that when a mortgage interest rate increases by 1%, a purchase price may decrease by 4%. Now, you say, but Kurt, yeah, but what did you say earlier on? So if we've had nearly a 3% interest, okay, 3 times 4 is 12. We can expect a 12% decrease in sales prices, which would bring a more healthier market, real estate market back. So if you think about selling your home, we'll talk more about that. Remember this slide. Remember this. When mortgage rates increase by 1%, we've seen a 4% decrease in purchase price. That's what's going to happen. And we are way above that in percentages increases in the last 18 months. So that's not such a bad thing, because for affordability and a number of other reasons. But that's what's really happened. Bibliologists, okay, predictions. Why do people, I have people talking all over. The bubble's going to burst. Is there a bubble? Remember, that was one of the questions. The bubble, are we in a bubble? It's going to burst and everything's going to go crashing down. I don't see that. I don't believe that. And these are just predictions. Worries about housing bubbles. 77% of consumers believe that we are in a bubble. This is Keeping Current Matters, given the slide. 77% of consumers and only 44% of agents believe that we're in a bubble right now. And when we talk about a bubble, bubbles tend to burst. Okay, I've got a neighbor who blasts a lot of bubbles all the time. A lot of fun, looks beautiful, and then bubbles actually burst or they land on something and they pop. Okay, I don't believe we're in that kind of bubble right now. We're going to see adjustments. We know that we're in that already, but I can tell you that right now we're not going to see a massive bubble burst. Experts don't believe that the market is a bubble or crash is in the cards. Like during the Great Recession, the nation is still suffering from a housing shortage. Okay, this is Realtor.com. We still got a housing shortage in the United States, right? And also with millennials buying at a young age. So to start home ownership, and that is increasing. So we don't believe that there's a massive bubble like we experienced in 2008. Foreclosure activity. Now look at this. Okay, foreclosure activity at an all-time low right now. If you go back, in 2007, we saw foreclosures are crazy. The whole nation was shaken by that. The foreclosures are very, very, very low right now. And for some time, we're going to see that. Why? Because you can still sell your home and you can still probably get some equity out of it right now if that was happening to you. So why would you foreclose on a home? So that's a great thing. Lending standards are tighter, since the crash. And we talk about the crash, we're talking about 2008, the Great Recession. So, what happened in 2008 that many laws were put in place and lenders couldn't just do whatever they wanted. So lending is a lot stricter and tighter. So the loans out there are a lot safer when people, got into a loan in the last 2 years. So we don't have an issue with bad loan, bad, subprime and different things like that, and different programs that didn't serve this nation, didn't serve people at all. We know so many people lost their homes at that time. So we're in a far better position, okay? And volume of loan billions were with a credit score less than 620, okay, 620 years ago, and now of course it's a lot higher than that. National delinquency rate, first lien mortgages. The delinquency rates, right now is very, very different to what we had in 2008. Okay, so we had record lows with delinquencies. What's a delinquency rate? Is that the rate of people that don't pay their mortgages and they're delinquent in making their mortgage payments. That's what I'm talking about. So we're in a very, very healthy situation. That's why that's our predictions. Are we in a housing market correction? Now, different people have different views on this, okay? Different people have different views on this. A correction is a decline of 10% or greater in the price of security, asset, or financial market. So are we in it? Well, we haven't experienced a 10% decrease yet. Okay, so that's not where we are. Okay, so this equity. So let's look at this slide. Okay, this is very interesting. Taxable equity in an estimated amount that can be withdrawn while still maintaining an 80% loan value. So if people had to take money out their homes, like people abused that in 2005, 2006, they used their home as an ATM card. Basically, we've heard this terminology before. So right now, the taxable equity, there's so much equity in homes right now that people could still withdraw money out, and they're still at 80% level, for the loan to value. So this is what makes a market really, really healthy and strong. So we don't have the mortgage problems, and we don't see that problem. So this is the predictions we're talking about. So we don't predict any problems of delinquency rates changing significantly, because the loans that we have are really, really good. So Southern California active listings. So if you follow the orange line, this is this year. So we've seen more and more listings come and inventory come. And this is our prediction. And we're going to see this increase, especially to 4. So this is not a problem. We don't foresee this as a big problem. This is going to help our industry, not make it worse. If you're looking to buy a home, I would still recommend that you do so even at the highest interest rate, because we have no reason to believe that home prices will still, they're going to be appreciating, and we believe that, and not depreciating. So even that previous slide, we're going to see an increase. And so it's still a good time to buy a home, even because you can always refinance later when the interest rates come down again. Okay, so we still believe it's a good time. There are 2 reasons why today's housing market is not a bubble, and understand that. Okay, Low housing inventory is causing home prices to rise. There's still a very, very low amount of inventory in most of Southern California. And the second is mortgage lending standards today are nothing like they were in the Great Recession of 2008. So that's why we really believe that. Now let's just look at this Great Recession housing, okay? And let's look now. There's a glut of homes on the market. In 2008, there was thousands of homes on the market. And right now, very limited. At that time, there was low demand. Low demand. When we spoke about buyer demand, there was low demand, okay? And there's still low demand right now. Well, in a way, okay? In a way, in terms of, where we're going with inventory. Way too much supply versus low demand, heavily favoring buyers, okay? Low supply and low demand create a balance, okay, which we're looking at a great balance market going to now. Remember talking about predictions. Low or no down payments were common. People weren't even putting down payments on houses. They're getting 100% financing, large down payments right now, okay? Subprime loans, which is loans that are, worth perhaps not great loans for the wrong people, perhaps, right? Pick a payment plan, teaser rate, adjustable mortgages, fraudulent lending. There was a lot of fraudulent lending, and I know people have gone to jail because of this. Okay, some good people that got caught up in fraudulent lending. Okay, and I'm talking about in jail for 3 to 5 years. Tight qualifications and stricter lending standard. That's where we are right now. Average buyer, FICO score, what source was 681. That's the average in 2006. The average buyer FICO score now is 745. Big difference, stronger buyer. Flood or cash out refinance. Use the home as an ATM. We spoke about that. Right now with higher rates, cash out refinance activity plunging. Okay, so the refinance is plunging. That market's plunging. That's why lenders are calling everybody looking for more business because they that's where they are. National delinquency rate for June prior to the Great Recession, 2005, was 4.7%. That's what delinquency. And right now we're sitting at 2.8%. So we're in a far healthier situation. 5 trillion of tappable equity amount. Okay, and now we are sitting there with tons of money in equity. Okay, which we don't understand how strong this makes our housing, market economy. So 31% of homeowners had no money to really put down and were in a different situation. And now all homeowners, there are a lot of homes that don't have mortgages on them, and we didn't have that in 2005, 2006. We did not have that. So we're in a very healthy position. This is Kurt Francis. Call me at 858-229-9180 if you want to talk about it, chat about it, and I can hear your opinion and what you think about this. Cannot wait to chat to you. Can you do me a favor? Can you have the greatest day of your life and weekends? Have the greatest weekends. Appreciate every moment, your family, your friends, people around you, and your neighbors. Appreciate